Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, I am excited today to continue our Taste of Directors series. This is a series where in each video we take a specific director and we select 3 to 4 films from that director's filmography to just give you a taste of what that director has to offer. Now, as I've mentioned before in several of these videos in this series, selecting 3 to 4 films from a director may not necessarily be fully representative of that director's work, especially if she or he has been making films for decades and they have, say, 30 films or more. Selecting 3 or 4 films may not give you the full depth and breadth of what that director has to offer, but the point of this series is to just give you a sampling, to give you a little bit of a taste of what that director has contributed to the world of cinema. So I'm really excited to continue the series today as we talk about a wonderful director who has a great footprint within the Criterion Collection. This is a director that has made some pretty fantastical and amazing films over the years, and that is Mexican director Guillermo del Toro. So Guillermo del Toro has made a nice collection of films over the years, including comic book adaptations like Hellboy and Blade, as well as historical fantasy films such as Pan's Labyrinth and The Devil's Backbone. And he has such an incredible range in the type of cinema that he creates, and his films are truly unique in the characters and the stories that he presents on the screen. So I'm really excited to just share a little bit about these 4 films that I'm going to talk about today. But first, a little bit about Guillermo del Toro. So Guillermo del Toro, filmmaker, director, screenwriter, was born in October 1964 in Guadalajara, Mexico. He was the son of Guadalupe Gomez and automotive entrepreneur Federico del Toro Torres. He was raised by his grandmother in a strict Catholic household and studied at the Centro de Investigación y Estudios Cinematográficos at the University of Guadalajara. So he's directed comic book adaptations, he's done historical fantasy horror type films, and his films range from your low budget to large Hollywood tentpole films and Spanish and English language films. Guillermo del Toro's first feature film was Chronos in 1993, and he has directed at least a dozen feature films in his career. He's won Oscars for Best Director and Best Picture for The Shape of Water in 2017, and he is known to be great friends with fellow Mexican directors Alfonso Cuarón and Alejandro Inarritu, and each of these directors have won the Academy Award for Best Directing. Okay, so with that brief intro on Guillermo del Toro himself, let me focus on 4 films from Guillermo del Toro's filmography that we're going to talk about in today's Taste of Directors series video. So we're going to talk about his first feature film, Chronos. This is a Criterion Collection edition of this film. It's from 1993. We're going to talk about another Criterion Collection edition, The Devil's Backbone. This is from 2001. We'll talk about Pan's Labyrinth. Yes, another Criterion Collection edition from 2006. And the 4th film is Crimson Peak. This is 2015 film starring Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain, and this is a really fascinating film from Guillermo del Toro. So these are the 4 films that we're going to be focused on for today's Taste of Directors series. So let's start off talking about Chronos. So Chronos is Guillermo del Toro's first feature film. It came out in 1993, and this is a really fascinating feature film debut. It is basically about this Chronos device. It's a metal device about the size of a pendant. And it's a device that was created, say, 400 to 500 years ago. And it's a device that lends immortality to whoever is in possession of it. But as you can imagine, there is a catch. There is a dark side to this Chronos device, to the person who is in possession of this sinister amulet. So I'll read a little bit from the back. Guillermo del Toro made an auspicious and audacious feature debut with Chronos, a highly unorthodox tale about the seductiveness of the idea of immortality. Kindly antiques dealer Jesus Gris happens upon an ancient golden device in the shape of a scarab and soon finds himself the possessor and victim of his sinister addictive powers, as well as the target of a mysterious American named Angel. which is played by Ron Perlman. Featuring marvelous makeup effects and the haunting imagery for which Del Toro has become world-renowned, Chronos is a dark, visually rich, and emotionally captivating fantasy. So this is a really interesting film and a great feature film debut by Guillermo del Toro. This is also a very nice addition from the Criterion Collection. It comes in at spine 551 in the collection, and it is just a wonderful, wonderful entry into the filmography for Guillermo del Toro. So this is Chronos from 1993 by Guillermo del Toro. So the second film that I'll get to here is a film that comes in the Criterion Collection as well, and it is a 2001 film, and it is a period film from Guillermo del Toro. Actually, the next two films are going to be period films based around the Spanish Civil War. And this is The Devil's Backbone. This is the 2001 film from Guillermo del Toro, and it's basically about a young boy during the Spanish Civil War period who goes to an orphanage that is haunted. And over the period of time that he's at this orphanage, he becomes affected by the hauntings of this orphanage, and it transforms him into this boy creature that you see on this picture here with blood like seeping out of his head. It's very, very strange, but a fantastic film with incredible imagery that you absolutely must experience. This is an amazing film from Guillermo del Toro, and this film came out in 2001, and it says in the back here, one of the most personal films by Guillermo del Toro. This is also among his most frightening and emotionally layered. It's set during the final week of the Spanish Civil War. It tells a tale of a 12-year-old boy who, after his freedom-fighting father is killed, is sent to a haunted rural orphanage full of terrible secrets. So this is a really fascinating film. You'll see here that there's this bomb here, and this is part of the visual motif of this film. This is a bomb that's like on the grounds of the orphanage, and it has a fascinating story with it. This is a recommended title if you are thinking about titles to pick up in an upcoming sale. Would definitely recommend considering The Devil's Backbone. This is a fantastic film from Guillermo del Toro. That brings us to the third film that I'm going to recommend that you consider if you are wanting to dive into Guillermo del Toro's filmography, and that is Pan's Labyrinth. This is a film from 2006, and this is a wonderful, shall we say, monster fantasy that takes place during or just shortly after the Spanish Civil War. And so it's taking place during the same time period as The Devil's Backbone, but this takes place a few years after the Spanish Civil War. And basically you have this young girl here who is a stepdaughter of a army soldier or an army officer. She has the ability to access this fantasy world. So she's able to live in the real world, but also is able to access this fantasy world where there are these fantastical creatures, including the famous fawn creature that many of you have seen from this film, Pan's Labyrinth. This is an amazing film from Guillermo del Toro, and I believe it's one of his favorite films in his filmography. So I'll read a little bit of the back here. It says, an Academy Award-winning dark fable set 5 years after the end of the Spanish Civil War, Pan's Labyrinth encapsulates the rich visual style and genre-defying craft of Guillermo del Toro. 11-year-old Ophelia, played by Ivana Baquera, in a mature and tender performance, comes face to face with the horrors of fascism when she and her pregnant mother are uprooted to the countryside where her new stepfather, Sergi Lopez, a sadistic captain in General Francisco Franco's army, hunts down Republican guerrillas refusing to give up the fight. The violent reality in which Ophelia lives merges seamlessly with her fantastical interior world where she meets a fawn in a decaying labyrinth and is set on a strange mythic journey that is at once terrifying and beautiful. So this is a really interesting fantasy film from Guillermo del Toro that I highly recommend. The visuals are absolutely stunning. There is also a 4K edition of this that's not Criterion, it's from another label, but from what I understand, from what I've read, this Criterion Collection edition, this is a newly graded 2K digital master, and it, from what I've read, compares very favorably to that 4K disc that's out there. So this is a really great film. The Criterion Edition is a great way to experience it. Comes in at spine number 838 in the Criterion collection, and highly recommended, Pan's Labyrinth. Which brings me to the last film that we'll focus on for this Taste of Director series for Guillermo del Toro. And this is a film that is the more recent of the films that I have talked about here. And it is a film that stars Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain, and it is called Crimson Peak. Now, this is a really, really interesting, fascinating Gothic romance horror type film. This is a haunted house type movie, and it is a wonderful, wonderful film. The star in this film, of course, is Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain. They are playing brothers and sisters who are in this haunted house, and a young woman who is played by Mia Wasikowska falls in love with Tom Hiddleston's character. They get married eventually, and she's swept up into this haunted mansion that's on the blood red countryside, if you would. And she begins to go through a journey of uncovering the secrets in this haunted house and mansion, and the secrets that Tom Hiddleston and Jessica Chastain's character carry. They're brothers and sister. What are their secrets? What are they hiding? That's part of what this character is going through in this story as she uncovers the secrets of Crimson Peak. So this is a fascinating film from Guillermo del Toro. I'll read a little bit of the back. It says, "Love makes monsters of us all." So you see that on the back there. Love, hopefully is focusing. Love makes monsters of us all. And essentially it says, when her heart is stolen by a seductive stranger, a young woman is swept away to a house atop a mountain of blood red clay, a place filled with secrets that will haunt her forever. Between desire and darkness, between mystery and madness, lies the truth behind Crimson Peak. So this is a really interesting film from Guillermo del Toro that I highly, highly recommend. So Crimson Peak. Those are the 4 films that I have chosen for this Taste of Director series. Let me know in the comments below what you think about these 4 films, whether it's Chronos, The Devil's Backbone, Pan's Labyrinth, or Crimson Peak. Let me know what you think of these 4 films in the comments below, and what other films you would highlight as being highlights of Guillermo del Toro's filmography. Of course, Guillermo del Toro won his Oscars for 2017's The Shape of Water. Let me know what you think about that film. For me personally, that's one of my least favorite of his films, but he did win his Oscars for that particular film. But let me know what other films from Guillermo del Toro you are interested in his filmography. So these are the 4 films that I focused on here, but there's another film that I want to talk about, and I want to do a reaction to the trailer of this film that has just come out right here in this video. Of course, last year in 2020, we had the release in July of this edition, I think in June or July, of this edition from Criterion of Nightmare Alley, the 1947 film starring Tyrone Power and directed by Edmund Goulding. And this is a fascinating film. Guillermo del Toro has done a remake of this film, or a retelling of this same story from the source novel, and it's coming out in December, and it's called Nightmare Alley as well, and it is starring an all-star cast led by Bradley Cooper, and I am looking forward to seeing that film. A trailer was released a couple of months ago by Searchlight Pictures. A second trailer came out a few weeks ago, and I'm gonna react to that trailer right here and right now, right here on my iPad. And we're gonna see what this trailer is all about. I'm really looking forward to this film from Guillermo del Toro. I'm looking forward to seeing his version of this story, and I would love to hear your comments in the comments section about what you think about this trailer, how you feel about this upcoming film, and if you're looking forward to Nightmare Alley from Guillermo del Toro. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and press play on this trailer and check it out.
You don't fool people, Stan. They fool themselves.
Nightmare Alley, only in theaters December 17th.
December 17th.
The trailer starts now.
I will ask you simple questions. You will answer in short sentences only what you believe to be absolute truth.
Absolute truth. I can do that.
Guillermo del Toro?
Now, Brief as you can. What is your name?
Stanton Carlisle.
Are you a true medium?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Carlisle.
Doctor, how about that?
Cate
Please,
Blanchet.
Can you read minds?
Yes, I can. Under the right circumstances.
Keep your answers brief.
What do I want?
To be found out, same as everybody else.
Are you in contact with the beyond?
Well, we've had our share of snake charmers in the past. We deal with them.
You don't fool people, Stan. They fool themselves.
I've given you a fortune. It's time that you delivered.
When does it end? I want to know.
Some beautiful imagery in this film.
If you displease the right people, the world closes in on you very, very fast.
Wow. Look at that all-star cast there. Yeah, so that is the official trailer for Nightmare Alley that is coming out in theaters on December the 17th from Guillermo del Toro. The one thing that strikes me about this film, and this is a retelling of this same story based on the novel from the 1940s. I think the 1940s is when the novel was written, but this is a retelling of that story. Of course, Bradley Cooper now is playing the role of Stanton Carlisle, like Tyrone Power played Stanton Carlisle in the 1947 film. Now it's Bradley Cooper. You've got Cate Blanchet in here. You got Toni Collette. You've got Willem Dafoe. Just a all-star cast for this film. And this film looks absolutely beautiful. I love the visual style that's presented in this trailer. So I'm really looking forward to checking this film out. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the trailer? And are you looking forward to checking out this new film from Guillermo del Toro? So let me know that in the comments below. But thank you for joining me for this edition of Taste Director Series, where we focus on Guillermo del Toro. I think he's one of the great directors that is out there. He has a passion for cinema and for filmmaking, and he has made some wonderful, fantastical films over the years, as well as comic book adaptations, and he's done other types of films as well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table with this Nightmare Alley story. All right, so this video is going up at the end of November. This will be the last Taste of Director Series video for 2021, and I'm really looking forward to 2022. And in 2022, we're gonna have a wonderful slate of directors featured in this Taste of Director Series, starting in January with a director that I'm really excited to talk about in January, and that is director Billy Wilder. Billy Wilder is responsible for some of the great films that's come out in Hollywood during the golden age of Hollywood, and I am very much looking forward to doing a Taste of Director Series video on Billy Wilder in January of 2022. So stay tuned for that. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this series, what you think about Guillermo del Toro, what you think about the Nightmare Alley trailer, and what are the final pickups that you got from the Barnes & Noble Criterion Collection sale. Let me know all that in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.